Welcome to another episode of Together with a Wife Like Me. My name is Amanda Davison, and we are in for a treat tonight, ladies. We're going to have a great conversation about our attitudes and turning irritation into peace and how in the world to coexist in a home and actually like each other. So it's going to be so great, so great. We are diving into this book tonight, Spouse in the House, Rearranging Our Attitudes to Make Room for Each Other. Cynthia Ruchti and Becky Melby are joining us. Becky's with us right now. Cynthia will probably come. We'll see. But we're going to have a great conversation nonetheless. And so if you are with us, actually, we'd love for you to comment. I'm seeing all the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Comment where you're watching from. We'd love to know. But also just comment me if you want to win a copy of Spouse in the House, a pair of earrings from Farm Glam, and one of our awesome A Wife Like Me hats. So comment me if that's you, and we will choose a winner at the end. But would you guys all welcome Becky Melby to the conversation? We're so glad to have you. We're so grateful for your words, for the obedience and writing this book for all of us married people. And so thank you for joining us, Becky.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for taking time to share with us all. Why don't you just introduce yourself a bit for so many, including myself? We just met tonight, so I'd love to.
I'm Becky Melby. My credentials for writing this book with Cynthia is that we just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary.
Yay.
So that's no other expertise other than just in the trenches. And we have 4 sons who are married and 15 grandchildren. 2 of them are married. And like I told Amanda a minute ago, a bunch of them left just this morning, and you don't get to see the part of the house that's still trashed. So
yeah.
I've been writing for probably about 30 years, mostly fiction, mostly novels, cozy mysteries, Christian women's fiction, and romance is what I started out with. And so Spouse in the House is my first venture into nonfiction.
Did you like it?
I loved it. Yeah, it was. The writing with a friend, a longtime friend, was just a wonderful experience. But the challenge of, there were halfway through, there were times I would text Cynthia and go, we should probably have this figured out before we start giving advice to people. And we'd have a topic, a chapter topic. And it's like, I've got to stop and pray about this and work through some things before I'm in any position to be advising anyone else.
Right.
It was stretching, and it was good. It was very good growth.
Yes, that is awesome. I say that often. We lead a marriage mentoring team, and if we all had to be have perfect marriages before we could help other people, no one would ever be helping.
No one.
So that's, it's just, we're always on that journey together. So,
yes, so true.
Yeah. I love, right when I started reading the book, I was struck because it's just like whatever our marriages, whatever our homes look like, it is so easy in marriage to just get so irritated with each other.
So easy. And I'd love to tell you that after 50 years, that doesn't happen anymore. But just in the last 2 weeks, we've had a little bit of.
Right. Yes. And, and I actually love that you say that, because here at A Wife Like Me, that's what we often talk about, is that, just because we're Christians does not mean that marriage is going to be a piece of cake, and I often think that can actually really be tricky for us to hear or to feel like, well, I'm supposed to be XYZ, or we're supposed to have this all together, but yet this is what I'm experiencing. And so that tension, really, confuse us and cause us to doubt what is actually good. So and normal and healthy. And, I just thank you for saying that, because I really do find that oftentimes when Christians come together and have conversations like these, we can actually kind of leave feeling like, I just have to do better. I have to be better like them. But really, each of these each of these tension spots are opportunities, right, for us
Mhm.
to lean in and learn something new. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I'd love to hear how you came to be.
How the book came to be?
Yeah.
You've missed a bit there. Well, it started just with conversations. Cynthia's husband was working part-time, and so he was home a lot more than usual. And my husband started doing semi-retirement, and so we kind of both of us got to break into it a little bit slowly. But we both had come from a place of being at home for a while. I had worked, my husband's a chiropractor, and I had worked for him for a few years and then quit to start writing full time. So my days were, he would leave at 8:30 in the morning, come home at 6:30. All of that stretch of time and the space was all mine. And I could choose, I would move my laptop around from the kitchen table to my upstairs office, to sitting on the couch. And I would take all day to write my quota of words. And I could eat lunch when I wanted. I could take a nap. I could watch a show, go out for lunch. All of that was my reality. And all of a sudden, there's another human being in my space and taking up my time. And even though I was looking forward to it, I dearly love my husband and I love spending time with him. We do a lot of camping, motorcycle rides, more time to see grandchildren, all of that I was looking forward to. But what I wasn't prepared for is just how much I thought of this place, our home, as mine,
Hmm.
my time, my space, my kitchen, and that was the shocker. There was one morning when I was sitting at my desk writing and he was going out for breakfast with the guys, and pretty soon I have my back to the door in my little office room here and I could sense a presence. And he was standing in the door and he said, "I just wanted to tell you that breakfast got canceled, so I'm going to be home this morning." And that's all he said. And this like rage just, just, you know, because what I was hearing was, "Now I would like you to come and change, just change your schedule so that you can be with me."
Hmm.
And after we had some ugly words that I, totally repented of later, that's not what he was saying. But I was so guarding this time, this precious, my, that I totally misunderstood what he was simply informing me that he was going to be home. But
Hmm.
that was such an indicator, kind of a thermometer, to tell me that my heart was not right yet and I
Hmm.
needed to do some work.
Hmm. So then I'm curious, did you share that with Cynthia and
Oh,
she
of course.
did the same, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we've been, good for each other in that I know I can vent to her
Mhm.
and she's still gonna think my husband's wonderful, and vice versa. She'll never think, oh, that he's, such a horrible person. She'll understand that it's my emotion coming through. And after I vent, sometimes we'll pray together, and other times she'll, very gently say, "Well, maybe you could have done this."
Yeah.
So that was part of the conversation that started, the book, because we're not the only ones in this situation,
Right.
especially we're baby boomers. So many people going into retirement. And then the book was in process before COVID. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, as we're writing, we're realizing we're really not alone, because there are so many people now that are thrust into this 24/7 togetherness without any preparation or warning.
Yeah.
So our audience just suddenly grew, plus it gave us more, fodder for the book. We got stories from other people, younger couples, and
Yes.
but yeah, it just started from us kind of whining to each other and helping and encouraging each other, getting back on the right track and going, "We're not alone. So maybe we should share some of our experience."
That's so good, and what struck me as I was reading through the book was, like you said, it's not just for one season of life. I find, my husband farms, and so his season we go through these seasons where he's gone for a long time, for an extended period of time, and then he's home a lot more.
Mhm.
And we
A lot more.
you know, and I love that. And it's also always tricky for that. It's like a transition period.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm so used to things being how I have them because I have to figure it out. I have to figure out the routine, the kids, the bedtimes, the homework, the whatever, right? And then it just shifts. And like you say, so many now are working, in tandem at home, whether or not they're, working on the same projects, but they're in each other's space now so much more
Mhm.
than they probably ever have been.
Right.
But even I find like on the weekends or a long weekend like this weekend, I was so excited to chat with you guys with girls, because, even just this long time, together all weekend, great weekend, right? Family, it's Thanksgiving, yes, it's great. And you're with each other all the
Mhm.
time. So I just,
Mhm.
yeah, I guess I know that the book, goes into some of the root causes for like the irritability and the like what we're describing right now. What are some of those reasons for us to feel like that in marriage?
I think the root cause, probably of most of our problems is pride. But pride is such a complex thing. Sometimes it comes from, poor self-esteem. And then we put on this facade of, protection. And so I think that's part of the reason why we get into this my, me, my, I want things my way. I want control. Um, and then all those those things that endeared us when we were dating, when you're together all the time, suddenly it's like the little things just really can get to you. And we all, we know as believers we're supposed to die to self. We're supposed to be like Jesus. We're supposed to, you know outdo one another in showing honor. That's one fantastic verse. But we want our own way. It's just selfishness is built into us. Like Paul said, what I want to do, I don't do. What I don't want to do, I do. So that's part of being human. But those little things start to bug us, and I think we just need to stand back. For one of the things I had to understand is my husband's not my enemy. He may
Mm,
irritate times, but we're on the same team.
yeah,
We're not adversaries. We are on the same team. And so those little things that can bug you, or that I do that bug him, they're not intentional. He's not out to get me or hurt my feelings. And once I could kind of come to understand that, it was a little easier to, as a good friend of mine said, and I put in the book, is give him a pass. Just, gush grace, give lots and lots of grace. And I find I can so easily, like I said, misunderstand, or I can go down this dark black hole of he didn't say this or he did say this and how could he say that, rather than just addressing it and saying, hey, this is how I felt when you said that. What did you mean? And then usually, that'll clear it up and take care of it right there, then and there. But a
yeah,
communication is just huge. It's like if something is bothering you, if your husband offends you, talk about it. So
yeah, yeah. That's good. My husband is not my enemy. That's just like it's hard to remember that when it feels like it,
mhm,
like when you're on different pages, or when, he is being, whatever, cranky to you, or
mhm,
and you're cranky to him, you're both cranky or whatever. It doesn't feel like you're on the same team, but to remember that, like, he's not my enemy. There is a real enemy, but my
yes.
husband is not
Mm,
him.
right.
Uh,
Amen. And we both have the same enemies. So it ought to be kind of a you and me against, well, not against the world, but
right.
against the same enemy.
Yes, yes. So I love that. So, in the book, again, Spouse in the House, we are giving away a copy of the book. We're also giving away a pair of earrings from Farm Glam and our White hat. So just comment me in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. We'll see you, and we say hi to Brooke, Emma, Kelly, hey, Melissa, Tracy. What I love is that in Spouse in the House, you address different like practical sort of angles that we can, when we're feeling this way. And I would just want to say too, like, if you are watching and you have been in this, maybe you've been in a season of like what we're saying is like, yeah, that's been me and my husband forever. I like keep listening, because we're going to talk about encouragement and practical steps now. But you address in the book spiritual, emotional, relational, and even physical steps that we can take to replace irritation with peace, because it doesn't happen like that, right? And so we can take different steps to move toward peace. So I'd love to just dive into some of those. Any that you'd like.
I saw this. I can't give credit to the right person, but I saw a meme just a few weeks ago, and it was a prayer for wives. And the first line said, "Lord, you saw what just happened." And I thought for the situation I was in at the moment, that was so helpful. It's like tattling to God, okay? Rather than storing up the bitterness, going to him and say, "Okay, you saw that." And then going, "You take care of it." If telling God, if you need to change my heart, which is usually the case, I'm open, change my heart, change my thoughts. If my husband needs to be tweaked a little bit, I'm going to leave that in your hands. It's not my job, to fix him. But being open and honest, I just taught a breakout session at a retreat about the Psalms and the Psalms of lament. And I think reading through some of those and going, it's okay to just dump, just give it all to God, even if it sounds like grumbling and whining at times. That's the process of opening up the wound and letting him, cleanse it. So I think that's huge, is keeping, no matter how you're feeling, how irritated you are, keep that communication with the Lord open, and always be open to him changing your heart. As far as physically, when you're suddenly home together, there's often space problems, especially if you're both working from home and you've got one office or one kitchen table. You may need to sit down and make up a schedule. Who gets to do a Zoom call when, and how do we keep the kids quiet when you're doing a Zoom call, and all of those things. Schedules are good. Talk it out. What are your needs? How can I help is one of the best questions. And we try to do that every night or every morning while we're having our coffee together. What are your thoughts for the day? Thankfully, we don't have to work outside the home, so our schedules are a little easier. But if I'm getting ready for something, my husband, might say, "How can I help? What can I do?" And all of those things, just to be well aware of your spouse's goals and priorities day by day. That's huge. Rearranging space. Maybe you've got to, change a room in your house into an office that can be shared. The other thing we address in the book is just decor in your house, because maybe your spouse has been the one working outside the home and suddenly he's home, and the way things look, maybe you've got kind of a feminine touch going through your house, and it hasn't bothered him because he's not there much. But look around your house. We suggest going out the front door and walking back in as if you were seeing it for the first time as your spouse. Does it feel comfortable, or does it feel like a very feminine space where he doesn't feel welcome? Little things like that. And as far as relationship, keep up date nights. Keep the spark alive. Do whatever you can to keep the romance going. We talked about in the book. My husband and I just kind of do a free for all for lunch. We both have different diet, restrictions and things. So we're bumping into each other in the kitchen, and that can get annoying. Or you can make it playful. So a lot of it is simply choice. You
Yeah.
know, am I going to be annoyed by this, or am I going to just make it fun?
Yeah. That's so good. And I wrote all that down. And I know that some of us too watching, like to think of these, to even consider asking your husband these questions like, what are your needs? How can I help? That those questions might honestly make you angry. Like, are you kidding me? I've got
Mhm.
young kids. I'm
Mhm.
not even sleeping. I'm not this. I'm not like, I get that. We get that. And so that's such a good indicator, like you were saying earlier, Becky, of like, oh Lord, like I know my heart is like exhausted. Like to
Mhm.
be honest, like I have so many needs that are not getting met right now is an honest confession. So and to say like even the thought of asking my husband those questions make me, sick to my stomach. To say that honestly.
That's
And then
that's a very true, honest.
and then to ask and invite the Lord to come into that place and say like, "Lord, would you soften my heart?" Because I think it's just so easy when we have those littles at home to really, like, forget that, "Oh, I did marry him." Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
is the one that I am married to,
And
not me.
he will, Lord willing, he'll be there long after the children leave home.
Yes.
So investing in that relationship. I remember years ago when we had young kids at home, a friend saying, "You need to make your husband your priority."
Yeah,
And, I reacted with a bit of anger because, like, he's a big boy. He can take care of himself. My
right.
kids need me. I need to be taking care of them, and that's where all my focus needs to be. But, I kind of woke up then after she said that and realized, this is the man I chose to marry. This is the one God gave me, hopefully, for life for a long, long time.
Yeah,
So pouring into investing in that relationship, not only is it good for the two of you, but you have to think of what that example does for your children. You're
yeah,
setting, a beautiful example for your kids for their future relationships.
yeah. And in that season, it is work to
Mhm.
connect,
It is.
even to talk without being interrupted, to get out of the house.
Mhm.
It is work, and it doesn't feel like you even have the energy to put in that work in that season. All the more reason, though, to do it and find a way to just make it happen so that you can connect. Because remembering even why you like each other. Maybe you
Mhm.
forgot you even do, you know?
Right.
It's
I
so
think I
yeah,
think one, like a date night thing would be just to go out and tell each other, this is why I fell in love with you, and this is what I still love, or listen to those old songs, your special song that you had before you were married. Just rekindle some of those old feelings because they can get lost. When you're a mom of little kids and you're running around in a ponytail and sweats and no makeup, and your husband needing you in any way can feel like just one more hand out there, trying to take something from you. I remember when I was nursing babies and just, my husband had come up and put his hand on my shoulder, and it was just like, not another hand on my body.
right,
So
right.
there's a case where it's just, Lord, change my heart. I don't want to, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I want to have a reserve left for him.
Yeah. Yes, and that's just so, so good. So, so good. I was gonna say something and I forgot what I was gonna say, but then you moved it into a new good place.
I
Um,
think having a friend, where you can partner, where
mm,
you watch the kids for their date night and vice versa can be huge at that stage.
yes, yes. And even that's what I remember it came back to me. I remember looking at my husband during, like, a really crazy season in our lives, and I knew I really couldn't do anything about like alone time with him. Just I think like we had been sick forever. We had
Mm,
baby in-laws. We didn't have anyone that could help like watch the kids. Oh yeah, I think our son was colicky as well. So it was just like this storm of like ongoing awful thing. I think it was like after harvest. It was crazy. But I remember looking at him and saying, "I miss you." Like we were
oh,
in the same room.
mhm.
miss you, and even that, like, he's like, I miss you too, like we both recognized, like, we miss
Yeah.
each other, and we were there together, and
Mhm.
so even just
Yeah.
maybe say that is a great start too. But you in the book, I would love for you to speak into this because when I read this, I was like, oh, this is great. You talk about proactive bomb sniffing. Can you talk about that? Because I just think it's so helpful.
Yeah. So often women will say, why do I have to be the one to buy the marriage book or, schedule the weekend, the marriage conference or the getaway? Why is it always up to me? But if somebody has to do it, I guess that's the point that we came to is you can sit back and wait for your husband to go to the bookstore and pick up that marriage book, which is very likely not going to happen because it's statistically it's usually the wife who does that. So being the one who's proactive, and when you start to feel a distance between you because you haven't had that time together, act on that, do something about it. Just even if your date night is 15 minutes after the kids go to bed, where you sit down and just look into each other's eyes for, as tired as you are, look into each other's eyes. How is this going for you? Are you feeling, I'm feeling a little bit of distance? Is there something going on? Just keep that communication open.
Yeah.
And if you suspect that there's something, we deal with so much these days, in the workplace romances, pornography. There's just
Mhm.
there's so much, or just busyness that keeps us apart. If you sense something like that, and your spouse isn't like willing to start, digging into that and taking it apart and looking at it, counseling, even if you're the only one to go.
Yeah.
If he's not willing to join you, your marriage, I hope, is worth fighting for. So
Mhm.
whatever that might take, I'd say find a good, trusted, confidant friend who will always, direct you back to the Lord. Talk to a pastor, or finding someone who's been married for decades, longer than you have, and someone, a couple that you are, or a woman you admire and look up to, that you feel like you can trust and talk to. But just don't let it go. It's the Song of Solomon talks about the little foxes. There's the little things that can get in and just start nibbling away at your intimacy and your closeness. And if you stop those things when they're small, then chances are you're not going to be faced with a huge crisis.
Yes, that's so good. My husband uses that again, he farms. He uses the analogy of, if they don't spray the fields, when there's a few weeds, the weeds literally will take over
Mhm.
the entire crop.
That's good. Mhm.
And so even after you plant the seed, you can't just leave it. You have to always be
Mhm.
continuously, consistently being checking for weeds, and then as soon as they're weeds, you have to get rid of them.
Yes.
And it's not a one and done thing, right?
Mm-mm.
There's
No.
weeds, there's always weeds.
Think of it like brushing your teeth, it's daily. You're constantly doing maintenance on your marriage.
Yeah, and that's normal, and that's
Mhm,
healthy,
mhm.
and so I just encourage everybody with that. Before, I'd love for you to share, Becky, about your, like, number 1 marriage lesson that you've learned. I also just wanna encourage everyone, if you're watching, you can comment me or share the video to be entered to win the hat, the book, and the earrings. So, yeah, Becky, would you share with us, like, the top marriage lesson you've learned with us?
I guess for me, one of them is try not to overreact.
Mm.
I long time ago came up with this thing called check my M&Ms.
Mm.
And the M&M stood for my mood and his motive.
Mm.
So when I would take offense by something he did or didn't do, I would have to stop and go, okay, what's my mood? The whole hangry thing, or halt. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? Um, if you're any of those things, chances are that you could be blowing something out of proportion. And the other one is his motive. Did he intentionally mean to neglect me, or is he just distracted, busy with work, maybe not feeling well, and all of those things. And if you can stop in the moment and check those things, you can hold off a whole lot of potential problems. And then the other thing I mentioned earlier is, the me, mine. It's not my house. It's not my kids. It's not my time. It's ours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I think we all need to hear that. It's just so helpful, and again, easy to forget, easy to fall into that kind of thinking, and easy to find yourself frustrated, feeling like you're not on the same team.
Yeah.
And so we need these reminders. It's always interesting to me that we come into marriage thinking, it's going to be easy and it won't take a lot of work. It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, if you've, been with us tonight, this is intentional work. Like, this is intentionality. You're building your heart for your spouse. You're pouring into your family. You're the next generation and the next. And so, high five. We love you. We're proud of you. Again, spouse in the house, rearranging your attitudes to make room for each other. Cynthia Ruchti and Becky Melby. The link to get the book is in the comments. And someone right now is going to be winning these and our earrings. And so the winner tonight is, scroll through and stop. It is Emma Christensen. So Emma, congratulations. You're going to be getting these. Watch your inbox for a message from me. We're just so grateful, Becky, for you spending time with us, and for all of you wives. We love you. Thank you for being with us. Becky, would you please pray for the wives with us and who will watch later?
I will definitely do that. Father God, we thank you so much for the gift of marriage, for the institution of marriage. Father, this was your plan. And I thank you, Father, for all of the wives who are watching right now, Lord. Maybe some of them in really difficult situations. Father, I just ask for your hand upon those marriages. Father, for all of us, I ask that if we are feeling right now like we've got a heart of stone, or our spouse does, that you would take these hearts and turn them to hearts of flesh, that you would give us compassion, that you would give us understanding and patience. Help us to be more like Jesus every single day. Help us to long to serve, to want to be a blessing to our spouses. And I ask for that blessing upon these marriages, Father. Thank you for Amanda and for this show and this outreach. Thank you especially, Lord, for the gift of your son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you, everyone. Again, Becky's website is also in the comments too, so you can find her, follow up. Again, grab the book, Spouse in the House, for your people this Christmas. It'd be a great gift to get them before the holiday. But thank you so much again, everyone, for being with us. We will be back here next Sunday for an all new episode of Together with a Wife Like Me. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, Becky.